Good to go. Okay, excuse me, my voice is kind of scratchy, my throat hurts, so.
I told you stop kissing those girls, but no. Consequences.
Okay. I want to start out with a question for all of you. And that question is, how important is your life to you? I hate to pick on some people, but I'm going to ask some of you for your answers. Erica, how important is your life to you?
Pretty important.
Cody, how important is your life to you?
Very important.
Okay. I'm going to follow that question up with a second question. I want you guys to be truthfully honest with me. How many of you text and drive? Maybe not on a consistent basis, but just sometimes.
Everyone here.
Everyone,
raise your
yeah,
hand.
thank you. I'm admitting to it.
Rosa, come on.
Now I want you to go back to your first answer and evaluate what you said. Is your life truly worth risking to send one more text to your friend, maybe to add one more emoji? Or worse, someone else's life to just send one more Snapchat? This has truly become a problem in the American culture, and without repercussions from the public, there is no change in sight. This is a very tempting act which seems ever so harmless. These acts have so many consequences we are just unaware of. I'm going to give you guys some statistics that I got from dmv.org and egnersnyder.com, which is a personal injury lawsuit. In the year 2014 in the United States, 26% of all car crashes involved the use of cell phones. At least 9 people a day were killed by cell phone distracted drivers. Not to mention, the number one leading cause of death for teenagers in 2015 was none other than texting and driving. These statistics really show that no matter what you think, it's if it's no big deal just to send one last text or to just glance at your phone for 1 second, that does take your eyes off the road. And no matter what you think, serious repercussions can come from this. To put into perspective how dangerous it is, texting as driving is deemed to be 6 times more likely to cause an accident than driving drunk. So that statistic alone really shows how dangerous it truly is. Now to go back to a personal meaning to me. Earlier this year, my younger brother turned 16. He got my old car, which was kind of a beater, but it went from my older sister to me to him. So he was pretty excited to start driving. In about, I think it was probably maybe a month after he started driving, my mom sent me a text one day that my brother had crashed his car on a dirt road in Ogallala. Now to me, looking at that text, that seems like an ideal newspaper headline, teenagers, reckless driving, 4 dead, stuff like that, very scary. My mom said no, serious injuries came, the airbags didn't deploy, thank God. But my brother did kind of break the car and, he got it fixed, but he did break the car momentarily, but my mom said no serious injuries came. So I called my brother because I knew there was probably something to the story we didn't know because he's not going to tell my mom what he would tell me. I said, Eli, what exactly happened on these dirt roads? I said, we were having a good time and before I knew it, I lost control of the wheel and I went off into a ditch. And I was like, well, how'd you lose control of the wheel? And I don't know if you guys know, I'm assuming some of you know, but on the app, Snapchat, if you're recording, you can, there's a filter you can use where it shows how fast you're going, so the numbers go up and down, and he said he was recording a video of how fast he was going, and before he knew it, he crashed his car in a ditch.
Oh my Lord.
Now, I want you guys to think about that for a second, because that very small gimmick could have cost my brother and his friends his life, and I remember it very specifically, because my brother and I aren't super close, and we don't really talk on a daily basis, but I remember towards the end of the phone call, he said, Kate, he's like, I'm serious, I thought the car was going to flip. Now, I cannot imagine what that would have meant to my parents if my brother would have died for a Snapchat. It's just something to think about. My solution to this isn't necessarily a problem that can be fixed overnight, as so many people are guilty of this swift action. But I do believe that if more severe punishments are put into play, then people will hesitate to look at their phone while behind the wheel. The way I see it is imagine getting a ticket. Let me backtrack for a second. The seatbelt law. You're supposed to buckle all the time while you drive, but some people don't, and serious incidents come from that. So I kind of see the same way with texting and driving. If you were ticketed every single time you were caught texting and driving, which is kind of iffy to put into play because that's kind of an officer accusing you of something, because that's their call. Based on what they see if you're looking down. That's their personal interpretation. Imagine getting ticketed every single time you were caught texting and driving. you would think twice about picking up your phone while behind the wheel. I know Apple has put a setting on iPhone that turns all notifications off while the car is in motion, but you can turn this setting off, because I know I did. And these are just some positive and negative effects, but the public is trying to do what they can to limit these use of actions. Let's be completely honest here. The temptation to look at your phone after getting a notification while driving is very tempting, but the danger you put yourself in and others in is simply too much. It's never a problem until it affects you or someone close to you. Visualize the seatbelt law for a moment. By law, you are supposed to always buckle buckle your seatbelt before you drive. But many people don't, and therefore they are ticketed. Imagine that with a cell phone, like I stated earlier. Put your cell phone away for that small time behind the wheel just to keep yourself safe. If you don't need to put yourself in danger, why would you? And to kind of conclude this speech, I can sit up here and preach as much as I want, but the majority of people will continue to text and drive in the future just because, I mean, what can I say? Like, it is kind of hard to just not look at your phone just for a quick second. It's something that so much of the nation is guilty of doing. Until serious consequences are put into play, it will continue to be an issue. What I ask of you to do is simply just think twice about picking up your phone. Like I said, I told you the story of my brother, and that could have ended so much worse, and we were very fortunate that it didn't. The number of horrible consequences that could come from such a simple action are unbearable. And my final thought I want to leave you guys with today is your life worth risking for words on a screen? Thank you.